Welcome to Work the Left Side. I am kind of just pinching myself at this moment. I'm not currently sure if this is real or if this is not real, but I am sat here talking to the three-time Work the Left Side ring announcer of the year, the embodiment of awesomeness, the personification of positivity, the awesomeness that is Mr. Tom Campbell. Sir, you are real, yes?
I am. My wife is gonna cringe at that intro for me, but I'm very grateful. I have the award with me just in case we needed it. There's no. I was awarded a pint by your team a few years ago for the first one, and this is there's no. I've forgotten what this is even called. An automaphone. And it's something that my father-in-law bought for me. I can't actually work it. There's no batteries in it, but I've been using it as the Work the Left Side ring announcer of the year award.
It worked for me, dude.
I think so. And should it ever go to anybody else, I will forward it on to them. It only seems fair.
Bobby Cash is like, that's mine. That just makes
Bobby Cash. You ain't getting this, pal. How are you anyway, matey? You all right?
Buddy, I am absolutely awesome. Yeah, just kind of sat here, soaking in the moment, enjoying this. And yeah, shout out to, like sort of said, it was a couple of years ago, my boy James Richards, who is as well the Cultaholic quiz champion. I believe you do it like every January for the Rumble. And yeah, he was nice enough to award you with a pint as well.
Very grateful. That's the best kind of award. I'll be perfectly honest. Although I think was that the first pint I had of January. I do dry January every year.
Oh,
so okay. we begin the journey again in 2026. It's just because I give my liver such a battering during Christmas that we have this deal whereby I tell you what, let me just drink like let me ride my body like I've stole it for a couple of weeks, and then I'll behave myself in January, and I won't drink until my birthday on the 31st. And that's the deal that we've had every year. So
I have cups of green tea here. Same thing. Detox.
Do you have two drinks on the go at once? Are you a beverage goblin?
It's just I thought if I'm ever going to get a dry mouth whilst doing an episode, this is going to be the time I get a dry mouth just through nerves. So I'm prepared. I've got two drinks. I'm like, right.
Dry mouth January.
There we go. Well, I was like,
what are in both of them?
Green teas.
Both green teas?
Yeah,
okay.
both green teas.
I thought you might have mixed it up. I thought you might have had green tea in one. I thought you might have had something else in another, no?
I'm a simple man. It's just keep it simple, keep it basic. Bit of green tea. No matter look, I'd combine them. I'll get like a coffee, green tea, weird combination. It just wouldn't work.
Ooh, you might have discovered something there.
Like, ooh. Yeah, you'll either try it and you'll be like, oh, that's genius. Or you'll try it and you'll be like, mate, I freaking hate that guy. I'm never speaking to him again. That is awful.
He has ruined 2026 for me.
Straight out the gate. No, not happening. But obviously, you know, so I'm sat here. I announced you as the three-time Work the Left Side ring announcer. Mate, you just, like I say, I wasn't overselling it with the introduction. You know, I've never spoken to anyone. As soon as I sort of announced, you know, Tom Campbell's coming on to Work the Left Side, you know, my sort of notifications went mental. Be like, oh, that's awesome. You know,
Don't do it. That's a terrible idea. We want the RP Davis interview instead.
That's down the line. That's fine. Oh, mate, obviously that's the thing as well. It's kind of like, I've got everything planned. I've got all my guests lined up to the 300th episode, week by week. Tom pops up. I can do the interview if you want to do it. Yes,
I feel really bad because it's only because I really want to do it, and I have this. And normally my year really gets mega busy, like immediately after Christmas. And it dawned on me that Friday was the first day where I had Cultaholic stuff that I was doing remotely, which I do enjoy doing. And then I had no radio stuff to do. I have no events to do for a couple of weeks. January's quite quiet. And I just went, you know what? Actually, if we're going to do it, let's do it Friday, because Friday's pretty clear. My only main job outside of my working day today, because I'm working from home today because of Crimbo, Limbo and stuff, is to tidy the guest room because we have visitors tomorrow. So I thought that and speak to you. So I thought priorities. I'll sort this out in a minute.
in my head, I was like, I won't get to speak to Tom till about end of February, March time. That's fine. That's after the 300th episode. And then so yeah, we might have
if I'd left it any longer, then it would have rumbled on and rumbled on. I went, let's just do it. Let's do it. Well.
Thank you, dude. But no, that's like I said, that post was meant entirely as in like, can you believe this is a problem that I have? This is not a bad thing. This is a great thing. You know, when you sort of think
I'm a big fan of what we call champagne problems.
Yeah,
in our house, champagne problems. There's things that are nuisances to you, but you go, oh my god, but it's because of this situation that these things are happening. Like, I've had it in the past where I've been offered 2 dream radio jobs at the same time. And I go, this is an example of a champagne problem. Like whichever, I'm in my head, I'm having a nightmare going, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I went, it doesn't matter what I do, because whatever I do, I'm going to have a great time. And I happened to have that problem in 2015 and 2014. And I happened to pick out of the 2 jobs, I happened to pick the one that moved me to my favorite part of the world, that allowed me to really flourish in the world of ring announcing. More importantly, it allowed me to meet my wife, and my life has been exponentially better for over a decade because of it. So champagne problems all around, except in dry January.
Well, what do you want to sort of divulge? What was the decisions and?
Okay, yeah, sure. So before I worked for Cultaholic, my past has always been in radio. My first love was radio. It was radio, professional wrestling, and Sonic the Hedgehog, which have sort of still walked beside me all the way through. There we go. There's Super Mario and Sonic in the background. Lovely. Keeping an eye. I like your work. So I had this, and I ended up going to work for Heart in Gloucestershire, because I'm originally from the West Midlands, and I got offered this job working for Heart in Gloucestershire. And then I was only there for like a month or so, and then I had a conversation with the kind of recruitment manager for Heart, and they said, look, there's an opportunity coming up in the northeast of England. We've launched Heart there. We're looking for a new drive show, and the managing director there really likes you, and would you like to have a chat with him and sort of see what it's about? So I did, and lovely guy by the name of Giles Tanner. And he said, look, this is what we want to do with you. And then I went back to my boss at Heart Gloucestershire in the same company, a lovely guy called Marcus Langreiter. And I said, look, if I don't take this job, what will I do here? And he said, well, we'll keep you, we want to lock you into a long-term deal doing our drive show in Gloucestershire, and with opportunities to do more down the road. So I was like, oh, well, both are really good. And I think the day that, that the week that was all happening, I was house hunting as well. So I was looking to moving to Gloucestershire, because as far as I knew, I was going to stay in Gloucester. And then this opportunity came up. Like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to put and I remember having a chat with my mum and dad, and I said, look, this, I've got one job here, which is going to bring me closer to my family and closer to my friends than I've been in a while, because I've been living in Wolverhampton for a few years. Or I've got this one job, which is a huge opportunity in a massive radio patch, but it takes me basically to the moon. And I remember my mom saying, look, wherever you go in life, you're only ever a day away. And so you've got to do what feels right for you. And it's that thing. I might be dropping a few like random little sayings that get me through life through our chat today. And one of the others, which I stand by, is if you can't decide, you've already decided. Which doesn't seem to make any sense. But in my head, I was thinking of reasons why I should definitely stay in Gloucestershire. And the reason I was doing that was because, well, I already really want to go to Newcastle. I already really want to go. So I'm saying I can't decide, but I've already decided. And that was it.
Talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, that was it. And I was going, why am I talking myself out of it? Why don't we just do it? I've got nothing to, obviously got friends and family and stuff, but I've got nothing really to financially, fiscally, mentally, emotionally keep me here outside of friends and family. And I thought, wow, let's just give it a go. What's the worst that'll happen? And then everything happened. And I think I went up to Newcastle for like a weekend just before Christmas, where I went looking for an apartment, and I walked, and one of the third apartment I looked at, I went, yeah, this is great, I'll take it. And they went, okay. If you want to come back in on Monday, I said, I'll be honest with you, I'm only here for a weekend. Can we do this now? I've got the deposit, I've got upfront rent. Can we just do it now? Because I just want to get it done. So they were, oh, okay, sure. So they opened the office for me on the Saturday, and we got all the paperwork done, and it was done. And then I went and signed my contract on the banks of the River Tyne that evening outside a Wetherspoons. Oh no, was it Wetherspoons, or was it? It wasn't a Wetherspoons. No, it was a Pitcher and Piano. It was the Pitcher and Piano, which is still there now. And and the rest is history. And this is the northeast of England is where I've been ever since, and very proud to be in the northeast of England ever since.
That is, like you said, you summed up perfectly. The rest is history. Obviously, you moved up there. Obviously, everything kind of fell into place. Obviously, you moved up there because of the radio work. How did that kind of then? Obviously, you sort of started working. Everybody knows you from, obviously, I mentioned Cultaholic. I was lucky enough to meet you in person last year in Leeds when North decided to be like, you know what, we're going to put some shows on in Leeds. And everybody in Leeds rejoiced. We was all very happy. And, we came along and I got to speak to you briefly afterwards. But yeah, obviously North is a huge, huge promotion. For me, it's like, it's easy contender, top 5 promotion in the UK, British wrestling, in Europe, even kind of thing. And you are now the voice and the face of North. I'm guessing that didn't just happen. Or did it? Was it just the right place, right time?
No, I think a bit of that. So I dabbled in ring announcing before I moved up to the northeast. I worked for a couple of smaller promotions in Shrewsbury. Shout out EDW, doesn't exist anymore, but shout out EDW. And it's one of those things that I forgot I did. I ended up working for a promoter in the West Midlands where I got to announce a World of Sport match between Johnny Sate and Johnny Kidd at the Worcester Warriors rugby ground. That's a thing I keep forgetting that I've done, because I don't think there's any footage of it anywhere, but I definitely did it. That was exciting. But so I'd done a little bit of it. And then I moved up to the northeast, and I ended up I had a night free. I was living with my partner. We moved in together quite quickly after we started dating. And I ended up having a night where she went home for the weekend. I went, there's a wrestling show in South Shields. I really want to go and see it. And I have no issue just popping along to a show on my own, sitting in the back and having a pint and watching the wrestling. I quite like that. It sounds like a really arsey thing to say. It's trickier to do that now than it used to be, only because of the fact that I'm so blessed that we do stuff with Cultaholic. So when I go to a show, it's like, oh, that's nice to see you there. And that happens quite a bit, and I'm really grateful for it. I do kind of miss sometimes the anonymity of just sitting in the back and watching a show. And I went because Grado was on the show. And I went, I want to go see that. That sounds fun. And I sat at the back, and behind me was HT Drake, who was also at that show, just watching the show. And I think interrupted a conversation he was having with a few people. And then we sort of stayed in contact there. We chatted for a bit, and then it ended up coming up. And then we added each other on Facebook, and then he said, do you fancy ring announcing for us? I've got an event coming up in Bike and we need a ring announcer. What do you charge? What do you do? And I ended up doing that. And then it's a lot of it is connections, because I went and did that show. It was a show, oh my days. It was a show in Biker in 2016 with Tony Storm on the card. I remember having a chat with Tony Storm beforehand and going, oh, wow, now she is like a kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
But isn't wrestling funny like that when you look back and watch, you look back at some of the shows that you were at and you didn't really appreciate the true significance of them at the time. In 2014, when I was living in Gloucester, I went to a show at Gloucester Leisure Centre, and the main event was AJ Styles versus Doug Williams. And Tanahashi was on the card. And Jushin Liger was on the card, and the Knights and Paul London and Brian Kendrick were on the card. And I bought a ticket on the door for 10 quid. That's appalling marketing. I have to say, great value, but I should not be able to go to a show that stacked and get a ticket on the day. That's atrocious. But yeah, so that was the first show that I did up in the northeast of England. And then it's from there, obviously, then they go, you were very good at that. And then I ended up doing stuff for Absolute Wrestling. I did a couple of shows for Absolute Wrestling, and it was, again, to cover their normal ring announcer wasn't able to do it. Would you mind stepping in to do it? Yes, sure. So I announced that show, and they went, we've got a couple more dates next year if you want to do. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it was at an Absolute Wrestling show that I met Andrew Bowers, and we got chatting. And he told me about North Wrestling. He said, look, we do like an adult, we a little more adult orientated than what Absolute is. You know, we'd love for you to come and check it out. And I went to North as a fan for years. I bought a ticket and was near the front and just loved the atmosphere and the vibe of North Wrestling as a fan. I ended up doing commentary with Matthew Gregg to start with of Botchamania. We did post-production commentary for North Wrestling when Bauer sort of figured out my radio chops. We did that, and then I can't remember whether he pitched it or whether I pitched it, because he was looking to do something that was a bit different for the pre-show. At that point, they've been having interviews with the wrestlers, like sort of like a sort of pseudo inside the ropes type thing for some of the talent on the show. And I can't remember, forgive me if Andrew's listening, I can't remember whether Andrew Bowers pitched it or whether I pitched it or whether somebody else pitched it, but we suggested, why don't we do a game show? Let's get the fans involved. Let's do a game show. And this is where A Question of North was born. And I was the host of A Question of North. And I put it all together. It would be like general knowledge rounds, but then like acted out rounds and gimmicky rounds where people would have to, you know, play musical statues and impersonate other wrestlers. And it did really well. It was real good fun. But at that point, obviously, they had a ring announcer in place with Stevie Aaron. And as these things tend to go in my career, whatever I've done, and I've been on both sides of this, Stevie couldn't do a show one month, and they said, would you mind stepping in to cover Stevie on the show as well? I was, yeah, sure, definitely. And then a few months later, they went, do you want the gig next year? Do you know what? Yes, I do. That'd be lovely. Thank you. And then that was it from there. That was where the North. So I was doing ring announcing for North, and Adam Pacitti and Jack the Jobber of Cultaholic were coming along to North. And I had a conversation with Adam Pacitti during the interval of a North show, after he'd had a few beers, and he was very complimentary of my work. And he'd said, like, we'd love to find a reason to work with you at some point as well. I said, that would be lovely too. I'm a big fan of the channel. That'd be lovely. That ended up being where the Cultaholic thing would begin. But yeah, it was from there. I don't want to run too long into. I'll do this. I can always enhance it in little bits as well. So he said, we want to launch a new podcast with one of our writers, a guy in America called Justin Henry. He wants to watch every episode of Monday Night Raw, and we asked Matthew, he couldn't do it. Do you want to do it? So I'm always happy to be the second choice. That's fine. Not that that's stuck with me. So we did this podcast. So I was working in this room, recording podcasts with Justin Henry every week. I wasn't as sort of a part of the main Cultaholic gang. I wasn't based in the office. That was until Double or Nothing, when the lads flew out to Vegas. And Adam Pacitti messaged me and he said, we're a bit short-handed in the office for this week. Do you fancy popping in and doing a couple of news videos with me? And I did. And from there, it was about a week or so later, they said, do you fancy coming in? And it was at that time that the radio stuff was dropping off. I was about 4 weeks away from losing my radio job. I knew it was coming. I'd been prepared for it. And I'd kind of already put feelers out in a few places and gone, I'm going to need a job soon. And then they brought me in as a full-time member of the team. That was in 2019. And I've been there ever since. So whilst, people will know me a lot now more for Cultaholic Wrestling and the stuff I do on the channel, really, it's ring announcing that got me there in the first place. Had it not been for Adam Pacitti, who I will forever give love to, and the entire team at Cultaholic. Had it not been for Cultaholic, I wouldn't get to do this job I do now. But I'm also aware, had it not been for Andrew Bowers taking a chance on me and putting me on, then that wouldn't have happened either. The universe has a weird way of working out sometimes, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
I said just everything aligns, things fall into place.
Yeah.
Obviously, from speaking to people on a weekly basis like I do, the magic word in the wrestling industry that I hear over and over again is networking, and that's what you're doing. It's true. And that's something I always tell people, because there's a lot of people I speak to who really want to get on in wrestling, and I've had a few conversations with people who want to be ring announcers, but they're sort of admittedly, to paraphrase them, they're sort of shrinking violets, and they're
too anxious to go. I remember speaking to one ring announcer who asked for some advice. And I said, "Oh, speak to all the wrestlers beforehand, find out what their announcements are." And he said, "Oh, the thing is, I'm a bit nervous because they always seem to be talking." I thought, "You can't be. You absolutely can't be." And it's and because that kind of line of work, you've got to be in there and you've got to be speaking to people. But networking is so important because you're gonna, everywhere you go, you're always representing yourself, and every job that you do, there's an opportunity that might lead to something else as well. And every gig that I have had has been partly due to the work that I've done somewhere else. And had I not represented in a professional and a likable manner in there, why would they have even thought of me to do something else there and something else there? I'd love to do a spider diagram one day of how all these jobs have and all these occupations have linked from one to t'other, because they're all probably interconnected. They probably all come back to one guy by the name of Pete Wagstaff, who was the guy that gave me my first radio job in the West Midlands in 2007, 2008. So they all link together. And networking, ever so important. Do more of that if you want to get on in the industry. Do more networking.
Yes. Any minute now, there's going to be a random thing that pops up. That's Charlie Day from Always Sunny in front of the board. And that's your diagram. That's your
looking mad, looking frantic as he's doing.
Yeah. But this goes there. This goes there, and it all comes back to Peter. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, networking is absolutely key. Like I said, the whole thing of, like I said, we've talked about that sort of stuff as well, but it's the ring announcing side of it as well. Like I said, you can't, I don't know, but maybe you can if you're able to turn it on when you step through the curtains. But I always kind of think you kind of got to have that extravagant sort of, positive, bouncy energy to be able to. I'm saying that, and I see Bobby Cash every month, so that's a contradiction to what I'm saying. But you've got to be able to go out there and just be happy, be positive, be full of energy. Bobby's full of energy. Sorry, I kind of feel bad now. I sort of, I'm only kidding, Bobby. I love you.
We love you, Bobby.
But yeah, you've got to be able to go out there because you're the first thing that the fans see. We go to a show. Like I sort of said, I got to see you do it in person in North. You came out, mate. You got the fans riled. We were hyped because we was at a North show anyway. But you took us from 10 to 11.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But that's part of the job. What is you're as the ring announcer, you're the go-to between the wrestlers and the fans. The wrestlers are going to tell that story. The fans are going to interact. But sometimes you need the ring announcer in there just to make sure that the crowd are primed for you. You're just winding them up, ready for the talent to come through. And that's such a massive part of it. And I think having that kind of personality does help. One of my role models in radio was Kenny Everett, and Kenny Everett's character listen to him on the radio. Cuddly Ken was a force of nature, but you ask anybody that worked with him, he's quite shy and quite quiet as a person, but turned it on when needed. And I can only be what I am. And I think it's when I started with Cultaholic, and I still get it a bit now. I think because I've always tried to have a positive demeanor and a positive outlook that often gets chalked up to being fake, because I'm not ranting and raving about how awful the wrestling world is, and because I'm trying to see the bright side in it. A lot of people come at me and call me fake. He's clearly fake, because it's a shame that we're now such a place as a society where it's either you're an arsehole or you're pretending to not be an arsehole. And that's it's that, and I don't know. And it's when people say that, like, I don't really know what to tell you. I had a comment the other day from somebody saying, when I first saw you, I couldn't stand you. You were so happy and positive. Okay, I don't know what to say to you. I am ever so sorry that you felt that way. I'm not going to apologize for how I was and how I am. I'm sorry that you felt that way. But you can only be what you are, and I've had many chats. We're going to come back to Bobby Cash again. I've had many chats with Bobby Cash, and I hope he won't mind me saying this, because it's said with love, because I think Bobby Cash is a fantastic ring announcer. Yeah. I think Bobby Cash is an excellent man of the people, a great voice of choice. I want to see him in more places this year. But oftentimes Bobby and I will have a chat, and he'll go, "I love that you're doing that. I really want to do something like that." I'll go, well then do something about it, you prick. He'll go, "Oh, but I need to put together a demo." Oh, this is a great one. And he's put together a demo, a show reel for ring announcing. And Bobby, I hope you don't mind me saying this, mate. And this is all love. And he's put together a show reel. Okay, we'll put together a show reel. Oh, well, I haven't got access to the footage. And I went, right, True Get On Demand. It's free for 7 days. There you go. You've got access to the footage. If I don't get it off there, use OBS to rip the footage. Just go. I can't. He constantly. He's pushing. He's going to do something amazing this year. He's got that series that he's working on, mad for it, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. But there's been a few times where he's gone, oh, I can't do this because of X, Y, and then I will be the annoying person that comes into his life and goes, okay, well this is how you do that. There you go. I've given you the tools to do that. Now there's no excuse for you not to do that. Off you go. Go for. But I'm also aware that I have. It's easy for me to say when like my 9 to 5 is working in wrestling anyway, and I don't like. I've got my wife and we've got a cat. Like I'm not running around chasing after my children just yet. So it's easy for me to say, oh, just make time to do it. You know, I'm also easy for me to say that because I'm a morning person. And it's not uncommon for me to be up at 5 a.m. to start the day and get things rolling and stuff, and be in the thick of the day at 5 because that's kind of my golden hour is 5 a.m. because I feel like I can sit down and make great headway on a podcast, on a video production, on some admin that I need to do, or if I'm feeling it, I can get out and go for a bloody run. But 5 a.m. is kind of my golden hour. And so, I mean, I'm obviously aware that I have the advantage of being up that early. So as I've already got 4 or 5 jobs done before everybody else is awake. But yeah, I think that there's a great song by Perry from Little Mix. If he wanted to, he would. And I've seen that popping up a few times. I think that's become a bit of a mantra. If you wanted to, you would. If you desperately want it, and it's okay if you don't, but if you desperately want it, then you will.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, I don't know. I've stopped posting them on Twitter because I keep getting locked out for copyright issues. But on my Instagram is made up of just reels of wrestling shows that I will screen record off of YouTube. I'll subscribe to all the promotions on YouTube. I will screen record the matches on my phone. I will then edit a reel together, 90 seconds. Check this out. You know, go watch the match on YouTube, subscribe to the promotion, everything like that. It's easy. It's just you screen record it. You can screen record it on your phone and then edit something together. So yeah, Bobby Cash, you have no excuse. You know,
I'm sorry. Bobby's listening to this going, why am I getting a kicking?
Sorry, Bobby. We love you really, mate. I love you.
Because we love you. I mean, and do you know what? And love all round because as I said during the video that I posted after winning the Ring Announcer of the Year award again last year, like how lucky we are to live in this incredible time where there is so many great ring announcers in the UK. I don't think I've ever known a time other than I noticed it more this year, I think, than last. There's so many now that to the point where you whittle them down to 16, and there's still some key players who don't quite make the cut, unfortunately, who are still doing great things. And then in this year, you had people who were new to the game who were punching through, and it just makes I'm dead proud to be part of like that ring announcing world, like where there's so many great people that are doing it. Like that's great for everybody. Why I would rather be in this environment where there is a competitive nature in getting these gigs as a ring announcer. There is a competitive nature in doing it because you want to be, because it only makes you better. Iron sharpens iron. I watch people like Bobby Cash at work. I watch Graham Pierce at work. I watch Francesca Oliver at work, and I learn from Francesca. I watch how everybody does their thing. I watch Simon Cassidy and how Simon does his thing, and I forever learn from them. And I want to always get better. And I would hope that there are things they take away from what I do. Not necessarily all good things, but they might go, it's annoying that he does that. I want to do less of that. I want to be more of that. I would hope there would be, because we all learn together on that front, don't we? We all learn together.
Like I said, steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. I just want to rewind on something you said before, because I kind of we kind of got distracted by Bobby Cash. But, mate, the whole, I hate the if you're positive, you're fake mindset. Anybody knows me, anybody knows what the left side, you know, my whole mantra is I only focus on stuff that I like. I won't talk about a show if I don't like it. I won't talk about a match if I don't like it. I will only talk about shows and matches that I absolutely love. I love most of it, in fairness. 99% of it's all good anyway. But I will never post anything negative on socials, in an episode. It's all just, why do I want to waste my time talking about stuff that I didn't like?
I think there's something in discourse of when things aren't quite right. I don't mind that, but I think that the problem that we have with discourse online, not just in wrestling but in everything, if it's constructive,
I get behind that. That's not being gnarly to me. If you're being constructive about something, you can critique it a little bit, be like, but I'm not. You're not having a go at it. You're not saying you didn't like it. It's just like, okay, but yeah, people take it to the next level.
But even sometimes in being constructive, in the environment online, particularly, even in being constructive, you're told you're told, oh, you're tribal for you're an apologist for them. There's one video that came out on our channel. It was just a random news video where we talked about some hirings for AEW, and the comments literally ranged from Tom is a WWE apologist, Tom is anti-AEW. Why does Tom love Tony Khan? Tony Khan's clearly paying Tom. Tom on an anti-AEW rant again. These are all in the same video. I can't be all of them. And what's lovely is that this might be a clip that gets seen and clipped, and then people will go, to be fair, Tom, you do hate WWE. And then someone will reply, oh, I think he really loves WWE. And then the conversation begins again. If you're in that boat as a content creator and you're getting both sides haranguing you for being pro and anti, if everybody thinks that you support the other team, chances are you're hitting the nail pretty much on the head. Chances are you got the balance right. If they think you like them and they think you like them, chances are you got the balance right, because you're across the board. And people will have, it's confirmation bias. People will read whatever they want to read into whatever they want to read. And you do well to be shut out of your Twitter, because that's the worst place of all. And every single year I come close to just deleting it, and I don't, and this might be the year, but I said that last year, where I do. But there's still enough good on there to keep me there, and I'm getting more, and I'm getting more lively with the block button as well, where I'm just going, I can't engage. There's some people who reach out and they're volatile, and then you block them, and then you have to let them have the win, because then they screenshot the whole someone can't take the heat. Great. If you needed the win that badly, then please have the win. Jesus H. Christ, please have the win. You take it, matey. You clearly need that more than I do. It's all good.
It's crazy. I just worries me up with like the whole if you're positive or you're fake kind of thing. Like I said, that's the whole, mate, just go for it. I just I like to like stuff. I like to be happy with stuff. I like to talk about stuff that I like. Hopefully nobody thinks I'm fake. I've never had that thrown at me. Obviously don't have the audience base you do, so probably everybody who watches knows me anyway, personally, so they know what kind of guy I am. So it's kind of like, he's being real. He's just really excitable.
You know if you're being real. That's the fundamental thing. People can make their own mind up about it, but fundamentally you always know when you're being real.
Exactly. Talk about the ring announcing thing. Obviously, I've said it many times about refs. A great ref can make a mediocre match awesome, kind of thing, or a bad ref can make a great match terrible. For me, a great ring announcer can make a good show great. You guys have that ability as well. Everything it's symbiotic. Everything's got to be working together to make a show great. And the ring announcer. That's why, to me, you guys are so important. I want to focus on the ring announcing side of things for a second. And just like you sort of said, there's so many people out there that can do the job so well. And I think it's because promotions are now realizing we need a good ring announcer. You guys matter.
It's happening now. Certainly, there's been many points in my career where I've had conversations with promoters and they've gone, and it comes down a lot of the time to the dirty talk of money. And I've got very good at that. And they'll go, oh, we really like your work. How much? And I'll say, it's this much. I won't give them a value. I'll say it's this much, but then they'll reply and go, "Oh, that's out of our budget. We've got somebody here that will do it for 20 quid." And I'll say, "We'll go with them then." If that's the value that you put on your ring announcer and that's the budget that you've got, go with them. This ain't the way to go. And inevitably they will. And then a few months later, I had a similar conversation with the same promoter going, "Can we revisit our conversation?" From okay, all right, fair enough. And that's not me being gauche and me talking about money, but that's me going, this is exactly what you're saying, that there's now more focus on the value that a ring announcer brings. I wouldn't even, it sounds a bit snotty, I wouldn't even say that us as a collective of ring announcers, I think to be the best kind of person you are a master of ceremony, you're an MC, you're a host, because a ring announcer, the role of a ring announcer historically is just to stand there and go, "And in the red corner, and in the blue corner." You're announcing in the ring. But the people that make the difference at a wrestling show are the ones that are speaking to the crowd and getting involved with the crowd and G'ing the crowd up. And I think that feels like more of an MC role or a host's role, where I've been proud to host at music events over the years, and I've hosted at charity events over the years, and gala evenings and stuff like that, where I'm a wedding MC as well. So I've brought that sort of wrestling vibe to weddings as well. Now taking bookings all up until 2029, and so I realised that a lot of the skills from that world actually belong in wrestling as well. It's part of the pomp and the pageantry of it, and I think a ring announcer, to announcing the wrestlers is just part of the gig. It's just part of it. There's to really make a go of it. There's so much more that comes. Watch what your favorite ring announcers do between the matches. I always find that's a nice way of starting it. Watch what they do between the matches, and have a think about the vibe you want to curate. And I think more promotions than ever are doing that, because there's so many great ring announcers out there in the market at the moment. More people are going, actually, we need to get the sound right. And it's lovely when you have these promotions that have your set ring announcers that bring that set vibe. And it's a lovely time to be a ring announcer. It really is, and I think it's a really important part of the show. And I'm glad that more promotions are realizing that it's something they need to invest in properly.
I'm just thinking now, just randomly, that you might just be the last ever ring announcer of the year award winner, and it might just be host of the year next year.
I mean, don't change it on my part. No, by all means,
it's totally true what you're sort of saying.
I said, ring announcer. Ring announcer still is kind of what the gig is, but it's beyond that. It's the way. It's like how when I was I never class myself as a DJ. I'm a radio presenter because I don't spin the discs. I hate DJing at events like Wiki. I'm crap at it. I hate it. I had somebody at a radio station I worked at. They rang the station and asked to book me to be their DJ for their wedding, and I said no. And they laughed. They went, "Why not?" I said, "Because I'm not a DJ." And he went, "Yeah, you are. You're on the radio now. You're a DJ." And I was like, "It's not the same discipline. It's really not." I can give you the name of 10 incredible DJs who will go and put on a night that you won't forget, but it won't be me. But a lot of people go, "Oh, if you're a radio presenter, you're a DJ." I'm not a DJ. I'm a radio. It's a different discipline altogether. Because I come from a period of DJ is quite an old-fashioned name for radio people anyway, because I've predominantly been in the period of radio where I'm going to let a secret out here. We don't choose the songs on the radio. It's all marketed and play tested. Oh my God, it's there. That's in case anybody else asks me, why do you like Ed Sheeran so much? Nah, listen. I'm contractually obligated to play Ed Sheeran a lot. And I get that. That's not me being a dick to radio. That's obviously, that's you want to get people to listen. And if you're predominantly selling music and popular music, then of course you're going to play those songs. But DJ came from disc jockey of like the 70s and the 60s and 70s, where you'd spin the disc and choose the beat and match the vibe and lead the room. And radio presenters aren't really DJs. I'm sorry, they're not. I'm not, and they're not. This is where I get a lot of hate mail from DJs. So I feel the same way about DJ/radio presenters as I do about host/ring announcing.
There we go. And thank God Kenny Everett wasn't, restricted back in the day when Freddie Mercury brought in Bohemian Rhapsody.
I watched that over Christmas, did you?
I've seen it loads. I watched Rocket Man, but I watched that for a few months. I tend to watch both of them semi-regular. I'm a massive film nerd. I watch films all day, every day kind of thing. Hopefully nobody from work watches this, but because I work from home, I generally watch films while I'm working, just a background noise kind of thing.
Scandal.
So Bohemian Rhapsody is a great background film. It's obviously the music and everything, and so is Rocket Man. So
I like that. There was Kenny Everett was one of a kind, though, in his approach to everything. What was the great phrase that got him sacked? I need to look this up. Hang on. I'm going to type it into Google because I've talked about. Here we go. So, a famous phrase that got Kenny Everett sacked on the radio. On Radio 2 the one day, he went, when England was a kingdom, we had a king. When we were an empire, we had an emperor. Now we're a country, and we have Margaret Thatcher. That got him sacked. And then another bit where he talked about the Minister of Travel's wife passing her driving test and then coming off the back of the news and saying, I bet she slipped somebody a $5. I know these people. Yeah. None like him. Disruptor, Kenny Everett. I'm currently, and the thing is, right, to do a little side quest on Kenny Everett, all the magic that Kenny Everett created on the radio, all the novelty jingles, the Captain Kremen radio series, all of that production he did on a tape deck by recording over and winding back the spool, recording it, winding it back, recording it over the top, the efforts and the passion he went into. I am currently sat at a desk in front of Adobe Audition and on to my right, which Santa wife bought me for Christmas, a Rodecaster 2. And I just think what Kenny Everett could have done with that technology blows my goddamn mind. But yet he would not get a gig on radio in 2026. He's too wild.
No.
I'd like to think he'd be like a podcast superstar or something.
The internet would adore him and love him, and like you said, he would be like. Obviously, it's an aged reference now, but it'd be like a modern day British Howard Stern kind of thing.
Oh yes, there you go. Good shout.
The film was made of him and all sorts. It'd be great. But yeah, so sorry anybody who's watching this wanting to talk about wrestling. We kind of got diverted there talking about the awesomeness.
Tough. Sorry that we're not one-dimensional wrestling beasts. All the stuff that I do in ring announcing comes from years of different influences.
That's what I was saying. To know the man, you've got to know the man's passions, his inspiration.
And I'd like to think that all the best ring announcers do have like the pull from different places and different loves and different passions. Like my ring announcing wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for my time and my experience hosting live events for radio stations and G races up at the Cancer Research UK Races for Life over the years. If it wasn't for hosting random tribute shows in parts of the West Midlands, if it wasn't for like all those events that I did that were non-wrestling, and if it wasn't for connections that I made through radio, it's all part and parcel. If you book me for a live event, if you book me for an event outside of wrestling or an MC gig, if you book me for your wedding, then you'll see those little nuggets of wrestling stuff thrown in, but they're born from so many other places. And that's another little bit of advice I can always offer people if they want to be ring announcers. Just draw from as many different influences as you can in terms of style and pace and energy. And what you'll end up creating is something that's wonderfully, marvelously, individually unique. That's bespoke.
That's it. Oh, what a word. But I just mentioned that because I get really bad, and I've been pulled on it a few times by a few people. I always sidebar into films or comic books or TV series and stuff, and I'm just kind of like, right, all right. I'm self-conscious about, right, but we'll pull it back. But I always do that because, as you sort of said, it's always due to whoever I'm talking to it's the influence, for the character, for the mannerisms, things like that. So, and yeah, a lot of the great influences come from outside of the wrestling world.
Some of my favorite Work the Left Side interviews that I've heard haven't been, or interviews in general, haven't been about wrestling stuff. Yeah. It's, there's loads of wrestling shows that go, you won that title, talk about that. You won that match, talk about that. But then, and I've had some interviews before where I spoke to people and they've been lovely people, but I've realized actually wrestling's all we're going to talk about today because you haven't got really any other hobbies or interests that I can pull on. And, but I always find and I don't know whether it's just me, I always find them the more interesting to find out more about the people behind the people that work there. Like that to me is far more engaging. I can watch their wrestling all the time, and I'm sure it was a great honor to win the NWA welterweight championship in 1995. I'm sure it was a great honor. You don't need to tell me that, but I'd like to know. Like, hang on, weren't you? I tell you what, was it? Have you ever interviewed Lady Frost?
Nope.
No. I heard an interview because I want to drop this in the event that you do. I had an interview with Lady Frost, and Lady Frost was asked, "How did you get into wrestling?" And I will apologize to if I mention this and it's somebody that you know, or if the person that did the interview is listening. It's with love, and I hope it's a teachable moment. Asked Lady Frost, "How did you get into wrestling?" And she was talking away, and she said, "Oh, well, my grandfather wrestled as Batman in Madison Square Garden, and I got in through him." And I went, whoa, sweet child of mine, what? And I said, "I hope they look back." And she answered this question, and then he went, "Okay, so you had your first match." Wait, we're not going to touch on that. Oh, we're not going to touch on the fact your granddad was Batman. Why are we touching on that? So my first question when I interviewed her, your granddad was Batman. Tell me about it. And immediately we've got a rapport, we've got banter. She tells the story. It was in a time where copyright wasn't really that big a deal. So he just dresses Batman and works shows at Madison Square Garden. I'm like, that's so cool. Couldn't do that now. But it's that thing of just they're the best stories. And sometimes on some wrestling podcasts, not all of them, but sometimes they get lost, and you've got to really listen, you've got to really dial in. And yeah, so if that was you who did that interview and you're listening, please don't, I mean, by all means tell me to F off and do a public post about what a monster I am. Absolutely fine, you've got to protect your brand, but know that I say it with love, and know I bring it to you as a teachable moment.
Yes, God, yes. I mean, that's the one. I mean, we've talked about this before I hit record, kind of thing, where I'm very much like, I just like to see where the conversation goes. If you say something and I hear it, I'm like, whoa. Right, hang on a minute. Let's talk about this. Yes. That is the one generic question that I have to ask every episode, because it's an important part of the conversation. Why did you get into wrestling?
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying don't answer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying don't ask it, but I mean, obviously feel free to expand or come at it from different angles all the time. That's
what I mean. If they say something that's interesting, you've got to touch on that. You've got to rewind and be like, hang on a minute, let's just focus on this bit for now. Yeah, tell me more about that. Especially if somebody's been Batman in Madison Square Garden. For God's sake, I need to find that. Hopefully, there's footage of that out there somewhere. I need to see somebody.
It was while I was prepping for this interview, Lady Frost, and I was listening to the interviews. And I was like, "Why did you go into that?" Right, writing that down. First question: why was your dad Batman? Oh, was your granddad Batman?
That's amazing. But yeah, it's just stuff like that, and it's just like, I'm a big fan of getting to know the person. Like sort of saying, what makes them tick, makes them more interesting. It makes them feel unique, makes them feel differently. I kind of feel bad now, though. I'm going to actually sort of mention something wrestling related. I'm like, I want to talk about some other stuff. But I do kind of want to talk about the Bloodsport GCW that happened, last year. Because that was huge. And also you got to ring announce it.
Yeah. So the story behind that, and I want to give some love to my wife, who was very supportive in this one. So we had we were to go back to her mum and dad's the following weekend. It was in the summer, and we were going to go for a birthday party for our nephew. And and it's late at night. I think am I doing what happened at for Cultaholic for, was it WrestlePalooza maybe, or SummerSlam night 2? Either way, I was up late at night, and suddenly my Twitter goes ding, 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 ding. And Josh Barnett has tweeted, looking for a ring announcer in the UK. Who do you recommend? And my phone's gone ding, ding, ding. And I know kind of what's happening around the space. So I go, okay, I know what he's looking for. And it's on the day of the party. I can either ignore this or seek forgiveness or ask permission. So I followed Josh and I DM'd him and this is look, always be prepared, because I had a show reel and I went, hi Josh, my name's Tom Campbell, I'm a ring announcer based in the UK. I hear you're looking for a ring announcer, here's what I do. And it was like, there's a video. It's a 2-minute video, which is what it is. A video is what I do. And I thought, hey, look, he'll probably come back and say no. Somebody else will probably want to do it, and that's fine. But then I've not let myself down and not gone for it.